How's it going, everybody? My name is Mark. I call my channel Mark's Music Place, and it's pretty late, so thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, share the video and the content, and definitely write some comments and so forth. Now, before I get started, I'm in the middle of recording an actual track that I'm going to actually put out, but there's going to be some delays because I still have to give it the singer. So I haven't posted a part 2 and part 3 and so forth. So that's coming. That's still coming for those that are still wondering on that. But what I want to talk about in this video is I want to talk about interns and studio etiquette and things like that. If you are, let's say you're a person that went to audio engineering school, or let's say you're a person that's an intern or want to be an intern, but you never went to school, whatever. Back in the day, when you look at all the old school engineers, the ones that got started probably in the 80s and so forth, they got their way to work in the studio by, a lot of those guys lucked up and got to work in the studio. And I would include myself. I got to work in the studio myself, but a lot of people didn't come out of recording school like you do now. Most of us just learn from just over the years of experience. So I'm going to move my Chromebook here and my tablet, and I'm experimenting with one of my microphones, my Rode, just listening to the preamps, and that's gonna be for a different video. But anyhow, to make a long story short, excuse me. To make a long story short, these are do's and don'ts I would recommend if you're going to intern in someone's commercial studio or even someone's home studio, and you're going to intern. The very first thing I would tell anyone that wants to intern, like, I can't tell a person how to act in someone else's studio, but I'm going to tell you, I'm probably going to speak for a lot of studio engineers. I'm going to speak probably for the commercial studios, the professional top-end studios, and including, excuse me. Oh boy, that's a weird feeling. I'm going to, it's probably had that little, you know. So, I'm going to speak on the commercial studio and even studio with people like me that have the gear. Now, people that do watch my channel, they know that I have a really, really small setup in my dining room, medium-sized setup in my front room, and definitely a large size setup that will emulate gear that you would see in a commercial studio upstairs. But it's not going to really be so much about the gear as it is. My advice would be, even if you came out of an audio engineering school and you gained all this knowledge using Pro Tools and working on an SSL console, chances are that most of the time when you go to other studios, you're not going to work on an SSL console anymore. Most of the time you're going to work, some people have studio desk where they just have their MIDI controller, there's a screen, maybe some outboard gear on each side, monitors, in a particular, whatever room they're in. Some people probably will have a console. Like this is this is actually a 48 channel inline console. It's just 24, the 24 share 2 inputs to make it 48. But there is 24, then there's another 24 additional rotary faders. They're just rotary, they're not long throw faders. But Some people do have a console. Some people don't. One of the biggest advice I would tell them: don't go in there thinking you know more than the person just because you may have worked on some. You might have worked on gear that the studio you're going to go to don't have. You might got a chance to work with some LA2A compressors, 1176 compressors, DBX's compressors, and distressors, and you may got to work with Newman microphone, AKG microphone, Telefunken microphones. But when you walk into other studios, just because they don't have it doesn't mean that the engineer are not aware of the gear or have experience using that gear. Their setup might be ideal for what they do in their environment, but the key word is it's their environment. So that's the one. So the biggest thing I would tell anyone, if you're going to go in someone's studio, a lot of times you want to go in there and you want to go and be a help. And so that would be one thing I would say. Do not go in there thinking you are a know-it-all and you're going to automatically start telling people about gear and your experiences. The engineer, they don't need to hear your experience because you're the one who don't have the experience. They usually do have the experience and you don't. Number two would be don't volunteer to just automatically start doing stuff and assume that that's what the studio people want you to just do. In other words, I'm going to come over here and I don't really like these keyboards over here, so I'm going to move them over there because I think they'll work better over there. So I'm just going to take it upon myself just to move the key. Don't touch gear and start moving stuff unless you're asked to do that. Or ask if you think, if this microphone on this stand right here, would it be okay since you're not using it for me to go ahead and put it back up? And the person will tell you, yeah, like me, I might tell you, yeah, no, leave it out because I need to do something. Or I might tell you, no, yeah, you're going to go ahead and take it off the stand and put it up, put it away. Now, sometimes, there are going to be some people that, that about making coffee or tea and having that stuff prepared for engineers and clients and all that. I would be, if I was a person, an intern, the biggest thing you want to do is stay out of the way unless you're asked to do something. That's what I would tell an, if a person was going to intern, just kind of stay out of the way and just kind of sit back and be quiet and just kind of watch. Until people like myself, I'm the engineer, ask you to do something. Like I'm like, hey, place the mic, or if the client's about to sing, hey, go over there and adjust the mic for me, whatever. I might ask you to do that, or whatever the case may be. But don't just automatically do it. Another advice would be, other than that, trying to just, be loud and cool and just trying to overly impress. Don't try to overly impress the studio people. They're not going to be impressed. Now, how about you try to impress? Now, what you can quietly impress studio people by, if there's trash that needs to be taken out, you see a trash can overfilled with trash, you're like, oh, let me take that out. That's kind of full. Let me take that out for them. So people will be impressed with that. Always. The kitchen, let's say you're not, you're kind of out of the way of the session and they don't really need you. You happen to go in the kitchen area, the lounge area, and let's say it's got dirty dishes or whatever. They might, let me straighten this up a little bit and make it a little bit nice and neat. That always impresses people. But no one's going like me. I would be a type of person. I would expect you to come and clean my kitchen. I know how to clean my own kitchen. But the biggest thing is stay out of the way until you're asked to get in the way. That's would be advice. Once again, don't offer advice until you're asked for it. some studios like, well, what, they might ask you, okay, what gear have you used when you was in school? Well, I got to use this, whatever. They might say, well, I got this plug-in. What setting did you remember that y'all used it on? Well, I used it on this medium tag. It had a fast release. I was running about this ratio. And okay, well, all right. Come over here and let's just set up this plugin. Let's check it out and give me your opinion. And then that's when the time you come in and you might want to give your advice and say, hey, or whatever the case. But other than that, don't offer to give your knowledge unless you're asked. They ask your opinion for your knowledge. Other than that, what else? As of a person that we're going to intern into someone's studio, right? Let me check my time. Okay. I'm about done. I am about done. Other than that, don't be too good to not intern, because sometimes interning in certain studios can help you get into bigger studios and bigger projects. One of the last things I'm going to say is you're going to get an opportunity, whether a lot of times when you're interning someone's studio, there are going to be times where you're going to come to the studio and there's going to be, whether it's an independent, unknown, a local artist, or a major client. One of the biggest mistakes is try to push up on those clients. Don't ever let studios see as you as an intern trying to push up on a client. You're trying to solicit business or whatever. They will, you got to go. Clients don't need that, and the studio's engineers definitely don't need that. Like if someone's the intern, because I know a few people, it would be nothing for me to get some clients in here to do some recordings and let you get to see how the recording would be done. If you were going to intern here, I can show people miking techniques and preamp settings and things like that. But the one thing that I would not want you to do is to rub my clients. The best time to stay the most quiet and out of the way until you're asked is when there's clients. Because when there's clients, as an engineer, you definitely want to make sure that you definitely don't want to mess up the client's recording session or the engineer session. Because guess who's going to go? You as the intern, you got to leave. Get your stuff, go. Have a nice day. Don't come back. And I would tell a person in a heartbeat if they're messing up my session. Especially if I'm recording vocals here or upstairs in the bigger studio. I wouldn't need someone in the way when I'm trying to get something done. So that's going to do it on my advice. If you were planning to try to intern and learn something in someone's studio, even if in your mind you may see that the engineer is jacked up and you do know more than that studio engineer. But the thing is, it's not your studio, it's their studio. And they don't need your advice until, don't volunteer your advice until they ask for it. And sometimes there'll be in cases where the studio might say, man, this just ain't working right. They might ask you, well, you went to, UMTI or whatever. How would, what preamps or whatever, how'd y'all set up your preamps when y'all were in school? And how'd y'all do it on S? They might ask you that. And you say, well, this is what we did. And it might benefit you. But don't do it unless you're asked. Other than that, most of the time, if it's already a high-end commercial studio, chances are 99% of the time you don't know more than the studio engineers. You just don't. They've been doing it for years, and they have the clients and the artists and the albums and the credits. They don't need some person who has zero credit, zero experience, zero recording experience to come in and tell them how to do something when they know you don't have experience. I think for me, and another big pet peeve would be someone to come in and they want to start criticizing. Oh, I can't believe you're using, I can't believe you're using those Pro VLA compressors. We use LA2A compressors in the school. Oh, that will piss a studio owner off. You just come in there and start saying, "Oh man, I can't believe you're using JBLs. JBL speakers, really? We use Yamaha NS10s." Chances are, yeah, okay. All right, well, I'll tell you what. You go find you some Yamaha NS10s and you go do it on your own. So if you feel, and in the video, if you feel everything I said in this video is too much for you to bear, only other thing I would suggest, buy your own gear, start your own studio, and do it the way you want. Because no one likes an a-hole. Period. So that's going to do it for the video. Don't be an a-hole when you go to these studios or try to intern in some of these studios. And the moral of the story is, if you go in there and being humble and quiet and willing to learn and kind of just sit back and do what the studio needs you to do, chances are you're probably going to sit back and you're going to observe and learn. And it's like with me, I would show you an A to B, an A to Z process of recording. Even in a front room with a setup like this, I can get you to make a professional sounding record. If you were interning at my studio, if that was the case. So that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for watching. Y'all have a great one.